Welcome to the Spike Camp podcast. Spike Camp is a free online community for hunters that support conservation. It's a great place to share stories and your experience with other hunters. As a member of Spike Camp, you get access to all of our hunting live streams, discussion channels, contests, hunter resources, and events that we host. Membership to Spike Camp is free. Our only ask is that you are a member of a hunting or conservation group before you register. Head over to spikecamp.com to join us. This episode of the Spike Camp podcast is brought to you in part by Precision Optics. Omer and his team are the ones to trust when it comes to mountain hunting gear, guns, and optics. Precision Optics is a major supporter of conservation, and we are proud to partner with them. Head over to precisionoptics.net and tell them that Spike Camp sent you.
Well, welcome everybody to this Camp Chat live stream. This is the time of year when hunters are counting days until hunting season. Predator hunting is a great way to scratch that itch. Not to mention, it's also extremely fun. It's a riot when you get animals coming in. It's awesome. Tonight's guest has taken that itch to a whole new level. I'm probably going to butcher your last name, but I want to welcome Kris Haughian. How do you spell it? How do you?
Yep, it's close.
Haughian. All right, good. See, I told you I'd butcher it. Kris has I guess it's I don't know what to call it. I guess you have a brand called Predator World Hunting. So Kris, welcome to Spike Camp.
Nice, great to be here.
Awesome. I appreciate you doing this tonight. Kris is in Saskatchewan. You're in the Regina area, I think, right?
That's correct. Yep.
Awesome. Well, maybe best way to start is I'll let you do sort of a little short bio intro and tell us a little bit about you and your partner and Predator World Hunting and what you guys have going on.
Sure. Yeah. Predator hunting, mainly coyote, has been a passion of mine for over 30 years. And it's my absolute favorite form of hunting. And I would say 5-6 years ago, my hunting partner, Jeff, and I, we started Predator World Hunting. And just to kind of post our content and get it out there and kind of get that knowledge base up and entertainment for anybody that was interested in watching. We done some YouTube seasons and a lot of shorts and some video and some filmed through scope. So a lot of exciting content.
It sure is. Yeah. Blake actually was chatting with me a little bit earlier before the show, and he's like, we got to get him talking about the over the rifle camera work. So I'm assuming that's
that is cool.
Or something like that, or
yeah, we run Tacticams. We do have some trigger cams, but normally it's Tacticam because you can. The nice thing about them is they're light on the rifle. You can have your point of view camera and your camera pointing back and start them with a one click of a remote, really inconspicuous when you see that coyote show up. So it works quite well for what we do.
Yeah, I guess then you don't have, I mean, you do run a camera and another camera as well too, right? So you've got one of your partner out in the field to be filming, but yeah, I guess that just adds a completely new, or not new, but a completely different element. So yeah, it's awesome. That footage is awesome. Well, how'd you get into coyote hunting?
Oh, it was probably the 70s. My old man has like Cersei hand calls and old hand calls, and he got into it in the 70s. Bought himself a 22 250 way back in the day. So I started out young. I got to see 5-6 years old him hand bombing coyotes in from a very young age. Pretty sure he built it would have been way long before Fox Pro. It was like a Alpine car stereo with a 40-watt deck and 2 6-volt lantern batteries and a 50-foot speaker cable. I was the guy that got to be lucky to go out and string out 50 feet of speaker cable and set out the speaker out there. And that's when you just got to see the benefits of electronic calls and how they work. So it was a lot of fun and a lot of excitement from an early age.
And that was probably on a media platform Blake's not familiar with called a cassette, right? Yeah, a little cassette deck. Yeah, those are awesome. I started with the same thing. Yeah, so I'm originally from Saskatchewan as well, and my dad in the wintertime had me out coyote hunting. I think the first animal I ever killed was a coyote, and I was just a young guy too. So
yeah, I think
it gets in your blood, man. And once you call them in on a string, there's no turning back. And I think that goes for any animal that you vocalize with, whether it's moose or elk or whatever, right? It's once you start down that communication path with them, it's absolutely addicting. So,
It's super
well, that's
addictive.
cool. So, tell us a little bit about the creation and the evolution of predator world hunting itself. Like that, there's not a lot of platforms out there like yours or brands like yours. So tell us about that.
Just something that we kind of started. We wanted to go down the YouTube route kind of before all the restrictions came. So we were looking at going hard down that route in the Instagram, just kind of posting. We'd normally shoot between 150 call and shoot 150 200 coyotes a year. So we wanted to kind of document that, and Saskatchewan hunting in Saskatchewan has some of the best predator hunting around, with the biggest and prettiest western heavy coyotes. So we wanted to showcase that for maybe some that would never see that or experience that. There, it's quite something. So we just kind of come up with the idea and the platform, and kind of started going down that route. Things have kind of changed a little bit with the YouTube and how hunting in Saskatchewan has changed in the last few years, but that was the goal when we started, for sure.
There's been a lot of changes with the permission regulations for getting on farmers' land and stuff now. It used to be pretty flexible. That's a lot of challenges for a predator hunter, I would think.
It is 100%. It makes predator hunting, probably affects predator hunting the most, just with the express permission and the amount of different stands and land that you're touching on a daily basis. Now, we used to go before that when it was just post your land and you didn't need express permission. We could do 20, 25 stands in a day, hit 23 different property owners. Now it's a little different. You spend most of your time drumming up permission, and there's not a real easy or good platform to find that permission and gather it. It's pretty poor.
Yeah, I mean, to get down right to the farmer or the landowner to get his cell, and no one has. Most of those old farms, I guess, would have a landline, but a lot of those farmers are running cell phones, so they're not directory or any of that stuff. So yeah, it's a challenge. And then I think, though, at least from my experience with predator hunting, permission is, if you do get a hold of them, it's usually pretty easy because they want them gone, right?
For sure,
want them reduced, right? So
getting a hold of ABC Farms Limited is the toughest part, and who that is and where you go. And it's the wintertime. You do find the homestead. You roll up there and they're like, I'm a hired hand. The landowners in Phoenix or Florida, maybe you can get a hold of them. It makes it quite challenging, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. I was going to ask you the coyote hunting competitions. I didn't even realize there was a circuit, so maybe you could just talk about that a little bit. I know you guys participate in that.
Yeah, we participated in some. We don't have a whole bunch right around us, but we've done some competitions, and it would be pretty tough now in the way the Saskatchewan rules are, but we've competed in some competitions, and if you've got the land to do it and the access, it makes it pretty interesting. And there's some really good predator hunters and really good callers out there that are masters of their craft. So it's great to see.
So is it more of a U.S. based thing then? Is it mostly Americans?
It's mostly U.S. based. There's some in Alberta, some in Manitoba, and the odd one in Saskatchewan. But yeah, it's mostly a U.S. based thing that they see around a lot of CRP land and some access to land where can't see it. I haven't seen one in Saskatchewan for a number of years now, with the permission being the way it is.
So I'm curious, what's the structure of a competition? Like
Normally,
how does it work?
Starts up first thing in the morning, goes to the end of the day. You take your picture of your number of coyotes, or you bring them all in. Normally the biggest, smallest, and most goes in for a draw, and then basically it's usually up on weight, and it's pretty straightforward. It's put as many dogs down as possible in the shortest period of time.
Yeah, it sounds like the informal coyote derbies that you used to see back when you and I were kids. You'd see ranchers and farmers doing that stuff in Saskatchewan all the time. They meet at the local pub and
Yep.
set in the morning and kind of line up a pool of money, and everybody would take off and go out and have some fun.
Yep.
Well, that's cool. So I'm assuming are these some of these teams in the U.S. that are doing this? Is it like sponsored events and they have a little circuit, or is it at that level?
I'm not super familiar with a lot of the stuff on the U.S. side, but yeah, like they can have some sponsors, some big cash money. So you see some $5,000 first prize stuff. So it's a big deal in some of the states where they're set up really well to host them. And of course, you get your anti coyote hunting and protests and the hate mail and everything that goes along with hosting a competition as well.
Oh yeah. Well, unfortunately, that's the battle we face in the hunting space at all levels, and it's escalating for sure. But we gotta keep doing it, right? We gotta keep sticking to our guns, as they say.
100%.
Right on. So I know you have some brand partners as far as sponsorship and that goes. Is that for the actual competition side of things, or is it more for the YouTube brand? And
No, I think it's a combination of both, but primarily shoot a lot of competitions. And with Jeff and I, we do a lot of team competition and long range precision rifle competitions. So we have Apex Optics as our primary sponsor. So I run Apex Optics competition scopes on my competition rifles, their hunting scope line on my hunting rifles. So they're a primary sponsor, and Jeff and I are very involved and our sponsored shooters with Apex Optics. We have Go Ballistic Gunsmithing out of Saskatchewan here, Star City. He's our primary gunsmith and built our 20 BRs to start off with. He wanted to jump on that project with us when we told him we wanted to build our 20 BR coyote killers, and he was all about being on that project. And then since then, I think he's built probably 15 competition guns for Jeff and I, and builds absolute hammer. So that's Dennis at Go Ballistic Gunsmithing in Saskatchewan here. And I know that he's built a lot of other 20s and 22 BRs for guys that have requested it once they've seen how ours perform.
For those that know me, I'm a gun nerd, so I'm going to dig into that for a couple minutes here. So, tell me about your setup. What's the rifle setup? What kind of action platform are you guys running, and how does one of his builds look?
Sure. So, like, basically, I'm a big Tikka fan, so I build a lot of my guns off Tikka. So we spec'd out what a 20 BR would look like and sized a 6 BR down to 20. And Dennis ordered a custom reamer for us. We're shooting the Burger 55 grain long range 20 cal varmint bullets with the really high BC that are absolute hammers from 50 yards to 500 yards. And Jeff built his off a Bighorn's I think his is a TL2 or maybe a TL3, and then he's got his in a Manners. I've got mine in a KRG right now, I think, or maybe I might be in. Got an MDT XRS that it's going to get dropped into real soon too. But they're just basically benchmark barrels, fast twist benchmark barrels, and in 20 cal set up for the 20 BR. So it's a smoking. How does Jeff and I put it? As it's flat like the 22 250, but with the fur friendliness of a 223.
And it's 20 cal, so it's going to be, I mean, are you touching that 4,000 foot a second mark? I guess maybe not with the 55s, right?
No, we could, but we're sitting right around that 3,700 feet is where we found a really good accuracy node. And it's, if you look at some of our content, it's still a killer out to 500. We've shot numerous at 500 yards, but doesn't do a bunch of fur damage. When coyotes were worth something at 50 yards to 500, it was just the ticket. We like that 50 grain bullet. But if we wanted to go a fast twist, flat shooting, we would have had to, if in the 22s, we would have had to step up to that 75, 80 grain. So we wanted to stay down in that 55 grain. And to do that, there was Burger and I think someone else that discontinued. Like it's just the really high BC long 55 grain and the 20 cal would get that done. So they work pretty good. Burger since discontinued them. However, you can still order bullets once a year from Graff and Sons. They'll do a special order. Burger will fulfill them, but we got in and bought 2,500 bullets each all around across Canada before the discontinue. So we got definitely a barrel life each worth of bullets and components. So see when that wears out, what we're gonna do then.
There's a lot of really good BC copper smaller companies coming out now. Like, you know, you got Badlands and Hammers, stuff like that. Have you tried any of those? Hammer bullets?
I haven't. I've got some hammer bullets that I've used in my 7 SOM and really like them. I didn't see anything in that super fast, super long, heavy 20 cal, but we're set up with the burgers. Haven't really looked to see what else was out there. I think black something in the States had some heavy 20 cal, so 60 grain or something, but we couldn't get them in Canada. So
Blackjack, maybe? Was that the name? Yeah. Man, that sounds like a fun little caliber. What kind of powder?
Varget, running Varget through.
Oh yeah, beautiful. And then obviously you're using shotguns too, I would assume, for the up close and personal.
Got to have the shotgun. We both run Beretta 1301 comps. With I got a red dot on mine, and for that close quarter, when there are days when you can't unconvince them, it doesn't matter. You need that shotgun. They'll run right to the call or between you and the call. There's some days where they're so convinced you can't unconvince them, and that's when you need to have the shotgun in your lap.
Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about your setup. So on the shotgun, what do you use for shot? Like, what's your load that you're shooting?
I like running triple Bs or BB. So T shot's my favorite, but it's hard to find T. So we either run BB or triple B normally.
Okay.
Yeah, 3-inch.
So this is probably a situational question, but when you got a coyote coming in, at what point does the shotgun get picked up? Like, what yardage are you deciding? I guess you look at his body language, right? If he's going to continue rolling.
Yeah, 100%. So shotgun's always on your lap, and then the rifle's kind of just at your ready right there, kind of leaned in on your shoulder. So it's very quick to just slide the bipod over, get on the shotgun, and get them as they're coming in. So yeah, you just read body language. If they're coming and you got that shotgun, you just let them get as close as possible. But those, it's easy to lay them down at that 50, 60, 70 yards that just folds them up like a suitcase.
Now, being a long range shooter, obviously you're very well tuned to the dialing of your turrets for your range and stuff. In a typical coyote scenario playing out, are you just basically, I guess with that gun, it doesn't matter. You're probably flat to 400 yards. You're probably just holding on the coyote, right?
Probably like out to 250, 300. You're just holding right on. There's no need. And I would say 90% we're shooting inside 150 yards. They're within that 75 to 150 when they stop, or they're circling, or they're not super committed. You just whoop them stopped at that 75 to 150 yards and hold right on, squeeze the trigger.
Oh man, God, I want to get out so bad now. I'm just jacked. We have no snow, Blake. I'd be up there right now, actually. So on the calling side, you guys, you're running. I'm assuming you're running electronic call, and you got a action decoy on that, or what do you guys run? Yeah.
We got both. We got hand calls that we kind of like to open up with, and we both run Fox Pros and action decoys right on the Fox Pros. You can see that on our video.
Oh, yeah.
And just there's so many benefits of running electronic. Hand calling is an art, and I'm pretty decent at it. Jeff's superb at it. It's definitely an art, but that coyote, they know the square foot the sound is coming from. And if you're out and we're in the bald prairie, so it's best to try and find some shadows. You don't want to sit behind anything, but try and find those shadows so you can get away with so you're not glistening or they catch the sun gleaming off you. Get in the shadows, but put that call out there, that 50 yards, or pace off your 30, 50 yards, whatever you want that sweet shotgun shot to be, and get that call and sound away from your body. It allows you to get away with so much more and get that extra second to put that crosshair on there, read their body language, and make a perfect shot. So there's so much benefit to running an electronic call these days.
Well, exactly. And then, you can change the sound up like automatically just sitting in your hand if you know your remote really well and you know what calls you've got preloaded on.
Yeah.
That's the fun part. One of the things that I always found fascinating with coyote hunting is you get set up, and I obviously haven't done near as much as you, and it's been decades since I did, but the cool thing about coyote hunting, especially in the prairies, is you can be set up on a spot and you're watching a valley or a draw or coulee or whatever, and you're calling away, but they'll come from anywhere. You got them coming in from behind and running past you, and I've seen guys have them lay down behind and kind of watch and see where that noise is coming from and before they come in. A lot of weird stuff happens. So that's cool. Well, our whole strategy with this session is to kind of engage our listeners and talk tactics, because that's the juice of it. So maybe you could walk us through a typical morning. Like how does it work? Like give us a day in predator world hunting.
Like we got this when Jeff and I do seminars, or we talk about success. We call it the Predator World Hunting 5 key steps to becoming an efficient and successful predator hunter. So step 1 is obviously picking your stand. Picking your stand is super important. You want to look for predator tracks. If there's snow, if there's mud, you want to predator tracks. Look for coyote scat. Look for type of habit that may hold the food or water source. Like the number 1 key rule is call locations where sign indicates predators are in the area. If you're not calling where the predators are, you've shot yourself in the foot. So just take the time and pick a quality stand, and usually in that area, GPS it, mark it down. And once your success, I've got marks all over the province where we know that we've done our homework and I've successfully called stands and called and killed coyotes. So like number 1, pick your stand. That's always the best. Do your homework. Don't just set up wherever, but know that the coyotes are in the area. Then step 2, and 80% of your success comes from step 2, this step. It's the most important. The most important you want to take on. It's your stand setup. Stand setup is key. Coyotes are smart. They will burn you every chance they get if you allow them to. So obviously you got your wind. Wind key is setup. I like to call a crosswind, or not just so the wind is totally in my face, because a lot of times they're coming right from behind you. But be smart about how you're going to do wind. Obviously, you don't want it sitting right at your back where you're only looking downwind, because they can smell you a long time away. But you want that crosswind where if they're going for a flank, you can maybe whoop them, stop, hammer a different sound, get them a little interested. But I like a crosswind setup so you can see where they're coming, and then if they do tend to come from behind you, it's not your scent side. They might surprise you, but at least it's not your scent side. Make it so you can see your scent side in case they're trying to flank that day. Skyline. Don't skyline yourself. They got excellent eyesight. Get off the skyline. Don't silhouette yourself, especially walking over hills. Walk on the low side if you're walking out to a stand. Try not to skyline yourself, because before you get out there, if they spot you, there's no chance you're coming. If they see, the goal is you see them before they see you. And if you're hanging out there on the top of a hillside walking bald, like you're just shooting yourself in the foot. Sunshine is not your friend. The best calling days are the overcast, low light days where movement and everything is that flat light. If it's sunshine, do your best to utilize shadows of objects, of corrals, of a fence post, of old implements, trees. Get in those shadows so you can have some get some motion where we're gonna blend in more. And obstacles, like, do yourself a favor, don't sit behind obstacles where you're fumbling around and got to move. Sit out in front of it. Your movement should be minimal. You're going to watch that animal come in. You're going to watch his body language. You're going to make a move when it's right. When they're not looking at you, you're gonna watch for your opportunities. So stand setup is absolutely key. Take the time to do it right, and a good setup is 80% of your success. Then we have something called the pre-action, where you're getting ready. Don't just sit down, have your gear spread out. Get comfortable before you start. You're going to be there for a while. Kind of figure out what your call sequence is going to be, and don't overcall. Make sure you got no quick movements. Use your eyes to look around, not your whole head, your whole body. And make sure you have that shotgun handy, because if it's a day where they're running hard and you can't unconvince them. I had a day where we called in 20 some coyotes between me and another guy I used to hunt with, Captain Coyote. We called in 21 coyotes that day, and I think we missed 10. All were inside 50 yards. We didn't have the shotgun. You're emptying clips, and they're just coming 1,000 miles an hour, not stopping, and you're just shooting air. Like, had we had the shotgun, we probably would have had a 20 coyote day that day.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and don't be afraid to change it up. If something's not working, find out what's working. If those, like you got a call sequence to start with, your kind of favorites, but pay attention to what they're moving on. And once you find that, they all play by they all read the same newspaper that day. Normally, once you find what's going on, for a good portion of the day, that's going to work on every stand. So once you find that ticket, the key is find that ticket early and then play the heck out of it at each stand, and start putting fur in the truck.
Well,
the next one is action time. Be patient. Some days they're not running hard. They show up at the 25-minute, half an hour mark. Some days they're running and they're all within the first 5 to 10 minutes. Just be patient and see how they're coming in and when they're coming in, and just keep that as a note so you're not cutting yourself short. There's lots of times where you're thinking, oh, there's no coyotes here. You stand up and there's 2 behind you or 1 looking at you, and you have no idea how long they've been there. Just kind of be patient. Watch the body language as they're coming in. Like, your timing is everything. Coyotes are smooth. If they're coming in and stopping, it's normal. You can usually you don't have to take that far shot. You'll watch the body language. If they're setting to bail, it's obvious. Let them stop and come, and keep that volume low. Don't scream it in their ear. When to make your move, and that's only going to take just seat time. You're going to know when the time is right. And there's no substitute for field time. When you're out there, it's going to happen. Everyone's going to have trouble. You're going to make mistakes, but that's how you learn. You'll get fluent on when to make your move and how to make that squeeze and where to put them. I like to shoot them head on and have them stop, put the 10 ring on there. It kills them instant. They go straight down. But some guys like to wait for them to turn. I always set up so my gun's pointing where the call is blasting, because they will tend to come and hone in on that call and start beelining for the call. So if you're having your gun in a different direction than the speaker, you're going to have to move that gun. You may as well have that gun in the direction of the speaker, because chances are, if they're coming from a long ways away, they're going to hone in on that sound and beeline to it. That's why I'm not a big fan of dual speaker setups. Some guys may like them. I personally don't. I like a single speaker in a single direction, so I can control the coyote's motion and control his flow. And then multiples. So multiples at the same time, some people really get flustered, and it happens regularly where you have multiples come in. Everyone has their way of doing it. I personally, what I do is I wait till the close one gets really low. A lot of times you have a hang up and you have one that'll charge in. I wait till the close one gets super close and I shoot the far one. Far one goes down, rack, make sure your scope's down at a reasonable power, get on that second coyote. Or if they're close enough where you can still get them with the shotgun, make that shot, grab the shotgun, follow up the second one. But a lot of times we don't get to hunt suppressed, and it's pretty loud. They're usually on the run the second of the bang. But if you get that close one close, the second you get when wait until that close one's close, shoot the far one. You usually got ample time to have good success on that second one. So just be aware, coyotes. Know that square foot where the sound is coming. Don't give away your position early. Like, try and stay motionless and get them close, because it's the most exciting and the easiest to get it done effectively. So once your action's done, then you got your post action. Don't immediately stand up when you kill a coyote. Keep calling. You kill one in 5 minutes. I've shot them 5 minutes apart. And I've had 3 where they fall on top of each other. They come up to the other coyote, shoot them, they fall on that one. Another one comes up, boom, he falls in the pile. And I went out and dragged 3 from on literally touching each other on top of each other. So don't immediately stand up. There's one, there's a good chance there's more. When you do and you're ready to pack in, stand up slowly, look around. Bring your rifle to your pickup to grab your coyote. Don't walk barehanded. It's a little bit more brutal to carry a coyote and carry your gun and drag a coyote. But I don't know how many times have gone up, you go to grab that coyote, you come crest the hill, and there's another one standing there that maybe didn't see something or maybe saw you, and you got a chance to lay down and go prone and get him done too. Then when coyotes were worth something, like they're not worth too much anymore, but when they were worth something, like fur preservation, the way you drag them on transport, like take care of your fur. The way we did it was always drag with the fur. I always hooked them on a string on their canines, not drag by their back feet. Hook a string on their canine, drag with the fur. I always used a rack that I had in the back of my truck that's got some elevation. Therefore, they're not sitting in their own blood. The blood's dripping into the rack. The rack helps them cool and get some airflow underneath so they don't turn green. It helps them not stick to the box of the truck too and freeze down, so you don't got to peel them off with a shovel and wreck a bunch of hide. If you're into fur preservation and want to do something with it or put it to market, just take that extra step and make sure you stretch them out, have not sit in their own blood, cool them properly. So those are kind of our 5 steps to success for predator, according to Predator World Hunting.
Man, that's the encyclopedia of coyote hunting right there. That's awesome. We got a lot of, one of Blake's favorite things is to take clips, little gold, like we call them gold nuggets, and throw them up on Instagram. So we got a whole jewelry box there. That's awesome. Couple questions, Kris. So the typical setup, how long do you run until at what point do you say in a set, it's not happening? Like 30 minutes or so? Or
yeah, I'm a 30-minute fan. If they're not there within 30 minutes, like being in our calling area, and it differs for the day. Like if they're all coming in and you notice that they're all there within 10 or 15 minutes, I might only put in 20, 25 minutes. But my minimum stand is 30 minutes where I like to sit. It's one of the most common questions we get answered is, how long do you sit on stand? If you're in an area where there's bobcat, I'm gonna stay for 45 minutes, because cats come in a lot slower, a lot longer, and they're probably averaging 30 to 45 minutes. But in the areas where there's not, and you're just primarily after coyotes, I'm a minimum 30 minutes, because we've had them come in where you're standing up at 20, 25, getting impatient, and they're out there, and you're like, it was just coming super slow. So where we hunt, I like minimum 30 minutes. And everyone's like, well, how far do you call in between stands? And it's like, if you're in a good plush area, like we're just a couple, like if you can do it every couple kilometers and make a stand every couple kilometers and in a coyote dense area, that's all you need to go. They might not hear that call or be excited, but we've had them come from well past 1,000, 1,200 yards on the dead run to you. So I like to get out past that 1 kilometer and at least in that minimum kind of 2 kilometer between stands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's the thing with coyotes, right? As a predator, there's not a weak link in their senses, right? Like their eyes, ears, nose, speed, they got everything, and brains, right? So yeah, interesting stuff. So when you guys are back to the terrain and stuff, where are you finding coyotes? I just want to touch on that for a sec. If you're like literally just say you're cruising an area and you're looking for a spot outside of tracks and that, what kind of terrain are you looking for? I guess in Saskatchewan you'd be looking for sloughs, right? Would be anywhere where I guess where there's food for them, right?
Bush, like coulees, pasture land, they're all there. They like to be in with the cattle and that too. So any pasture land is always good. If you got a flat, absolute dead flat seeded crop with nothing there, it's a possibility, but you're probably better off finding somewhere where there's maybe an abandoned yard, some trees, some bush, somewhere where they could live and have a den, those sloughs, those little coulees, the little draw runs. So you're looking for something like that out of the ordinary. We got a lot of flat cropland, so we like to and you'll see them. They'll be out and about on that flat cropland. The downside is how do you hide a truck? How do you get out there and be inconspicuous on those flatland? You want to make sure you're setting up a stand where you can hide the truck and walk in and not have it be a super long walk, so they can't see the vehicle. If they're coming, we've done a poor job where you hide the vehicle and then all of a sudden they hang up on this hill and they're 600 yards away and you're like, can't convince them. And then you get out there, drive out, and you're out on that area and you're like, well, they seen the truck. They come to 600 yards, seen the vehicle, and that's that. So like, it's just about that, finding that key setup where your body is more important, where your body hiding that truck is. And can you get them is as important as the area.
The deal with coyotes and livestock. I notice this all the time whenever I'm driving through ranch land. If you see a bunch of cows feeding, there's usually a coyote nearby. Why are they out there?
I don't know. I think obviously they like eating, their big thing. They like eating afterbirth when there's that, and
Calving season. Yeah.
Coyotes can be hard on calves, so farmers never want to
Mhm.
see coyotes in their cows in case you get one stuck or they're in a fence or get caught up in a Texas gate. You could lose cows to coyotes and a pack of coyotes. But like, I think they like eating the patties. Like, I think they like just being in there. There's nutrient rich food sources all the time, I think.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty obvious, right? Every time you see a herd of cattle in a pasture, they're like almost 9 times out of 10 there'll be a coyote within a mile of that, right? So they just seem to be there,
if not right in the mix with the herd of cows too.
Walking through them, exactly. Now, as far as temperatures go in wintertime, is there anything in particular that you like? Obviously, colder weather is going to generate, probably less prey food for them if it's really cold. Yep. What are your thoughts on that?
So I like that -15 to -20. That's my favorite temperature. So the vehicles aren't getting so cold. Coyotes seem to run really well at that temperature. When you start to get colder, they're cold too. They're curling up. They want to wait for a little bit of a warm span. I think there's a common misconception that the colder it is, the more they need to fuel up, and it's not the case. Like what found in all,
it's the opposite, right?
It's not. So when it's 30 below or 35 below, they're cold too, and they're going to curl up and be like, I'll run and eat when it's warmer. They know they're going to spell more energy getting after that meal, and they really got to, like, don't get me wrong, it works if they're close, but we don't see them coming from that long distance at those temperatures in that beyond that -30. They like to curl up, and there's not a lot of movement. You drive out there, there's no rabbits out, there's no nothing out there. It's just scarce. It's not a game day, and they're not super excited. So plus it can be super dangerous, especially in Saskatchewan. 35 below, your vehicle lets you down. You could be miles, and unless you're kitted up to start a fire and be warm, you're playing with your life. There's a possibility you're on back roads, possibility you're playing with your life too. So it's not only is it not the most efficient, it can be dangerous too.
Well, not to mention you got to sit still for half an hour minus 30 and then handle a firearm.
Yeah.
No, thanks. I know when I lived in Saskatchewan, we were kind of later in life, we were sort of weekend coyote hunters like a lot of guys are. And I know my dad and my uncle, their strategy was if we had a cold snap for 5-6 days of minus 30, minus 40, as soon as the temps dropped to, minus 20 and, it was like a cloudy day and that cold snap broke, we always went out then. And we found the action was insane because the coyotes were just super hungry and you'd see them everywhere.
They can predict the weather. They're going to wait it out, and 100%. Your best days are if you can catch a calm day at the end of a cold snap. You're gonna have a field day, and it'll be one of your best days of the season. That's usually after a long cold snap when it just starts to warm up right after, and you get into that minus 20 or warmer. Life is going to be good for you if you're out and can catch those days.
Yeah, right on. And we always seem to see, I don't know if this was just circumstance, but we would see like a larger multiple as far as groups of coyotes after that kind of a weather snap. We seem to run into packs a little bit more. I know the ranchers sure hate it when they start seeing coyotes pack up because they know that's just, that's hell on the cattle, right? Because now it's
absolutely
just more ankle biters taking cows down and stuff, right? So
yeah, they're hard on the up birds. I watched a pack of coyotes push a bush and jump on the back of whitetail. Like they're efficient killers, and they're gonna get it done.
They for sure they are. Well, let's talk about the calling strategy. So let's go from your setup and walk us through what your calling looks like on a typical stand.
It depends on the time of, like in February, like you start with a little more vocals because it's mating season. So in February, I like to open up with some vocals and wait that 5-10 minutes, just a single vocal, just get them in that area. And if you're in the area of coyotes and they're looking to mate, sometimes a challenge, sometimes a female invitational, just some vocals and very few vocals, waiting 5-7 minutes in between. Coyotes will just show up. They're like, someone's in my area, someone's breeding, what's going on? So then start that February, we like to switch over to more vocals. But between that, like early, before the sun's down, before the snow's on the ground, there's bird, like everyone's go-to is the rabbit. We do use a little bit of rabbit here and there, but I like birds, I like gophers, I like rodents, like small mammal stuff, and something that could be running in you see them always hunting voles and stuff in the field. So we like some vole squeaks and some other stuff like that. Some pheasant, some Hungarian partridge, just kind of whatever animals you got in that in your area that you're calling. Those small mammals, their primary source of food. I kind of always start with that, and then you gotta go into there's always pups and some more female vocals at the end of a stand. If you're not having any luck on the small mammal distress. So it really depends on that type of year and the area you're in. So we have some calls that work better for different areas, and it's all just based on trial and error.
Yeah, I think it's, I heard somebody say once, selecting a call, you want to kind of flip it over to the coyote to select his menu, right? Like if it's, like you said, you're going to start off, I'm assuming when you said you start off with some vocals on like coyote vocals is what you're referring to there, right? So like a locator howl or a female or whatever, right? Yeah, I mean, do you find that varies depending on the time of day? Like is first light make a difference versus midday or late afternoon?
Not really. It's more the area and the time of year. So sometimes a year they're just not responding to vocals, period. And sometime a year, it doesn't matter the time of day, you're going to use a vocal every stand throughout the entire day and have really good success. So it's more on the time of year and the area you're in if the vocals are going to work. It's tough when I kind of believe that when there's less habitat, the coyotes area is bigger, and they're going to travel a little bit further to kind of protect that area. If there's lots of coyotes, if there's lots of area, their area may be smaller. So you might not get as much success on the vocal with a smaller area, but on a big open area, those vocals seem to work pretty good if they're like, this is my territory, I'm coming to see what's going on.
And then does it change a lot as you get into the mating season a little bit?
Yeah, like you do definitely use more vocals when it comes into the mating season. They got different stuff on their brain. Eating might be second, so I think like the vocals work really well in that February to the end of March or to the mid-March, when depends on the type of year when rub starts to show up. But yeah, starting that beginning of February, the vocals seem to work really well.
What's your I'm trying to remember now, what's the coyote season start and stop?
So we got an open season. Coyotes are open year round in Saskatchewan. You can kill them as many as you want any day of the year, but I've always tend to do it on fur prime season. So my coyote season for fur prime, I don't want to shoot them and lay them there. We want to use them, whether even if they're worth nothing. I give them to my skinner so he can make garment and do whatever. I just drop them off and give it to him. Obviously, up until the last couple of years, we were always taking care, sending them in to NAFA or a different fur sale or a fur buyer. We were always doing that for the last 30 years. But since the price of them has tanked, like pay a skinner $25, you're not even going to get $25 as a sold. So it's good. We still pick them up and gather them and give it to them, but we only shoot coyotes in that November 1st to the end of February, first week of March, when they start to get some rub on them, when they wear out. There's always exceptions to that. If I get a landowner and he says, hey, it's June and I got a bunch of coyotes and they're in my cows, can you come out and give us a hand and manage them a little bit? We're gonna come out and make some stands and get them and take away some of his problem coyotes if they're having a whole bunch of trouble, to maintain those relationships. But normally we're not actively going out. We've done it before and it works really well. Calling in the summer works just as good. You would think they're not going to eat as much. It works just as good.
Yeah. I mean, the whole fur situation, as far as the market goes, it's my understanding that the prices are just gone. Like it's not even. Yeah, there's hardly $1 to put on a coyote pelt right now. Yeah. So you've got somebody that takes them for you and skins them and.
Yeah.
Does he tan them as well then, or
I think he's starting to tan this year. Like he'll still send them to market and just do it for his time. And he's like, I just do it because I'm bored. And if I charge guys $25 to skin and flesh and stretch a coyote, and they're only getting 20, he will do it for himself. And if he gets his 20, I guess he gets a little bit of time, a little bit of money for his time to do it. So I just donate it to him and say, hey, whatever it takes, maybe to put it to a good cause. If he wants to tan, make garments, he does a little bit of everything.
Well, it's interesting when you think about it, right? I mean, in your case, you guys are still actively pursuing the coyotes, and I would think most hobbyist predator hunters are going to be doing that. But on the professional side, with trappers, guys snaring them and stuff, I imagine that drops off a bit. But I know a lot of those guys that are trapping are going to be ranchers or family or friends and stuff trying to help their ranchers. But do you think there's any impact there? Are less coyotes getting killed this year?
Oh, 100%. This year and last year, numbers are increased huge. You talk to landowners, they're like the guys that would go down and trap and do it to make a buck and do it as a side source of income. They're not coming this year. Last year, the prices just aren't worth it. The cost of fuel is high. Their time is worth their money. So the coyote population is definitely is definitely out of control. We're getting lots of calls and texts saying, by all means, come out there. There's piles of them this year. So we haven't normally where we go, there would be like, you can't hunt over here because the guy's got a trap line running. I've given him permission. Just don't. And we haven't heard any of that this year. And even
There's so many of them.
Year. So there's lots of guys that are still hardcore and will do it and kind of do it to maintain those relationships. But I imagine it's a small percentage of what was a few years ago and beyond.
Yeah, I know back in my day, back in the prairies, we used to see, you'd see a trend in coyote numbers based on a few factors. One obviously was, in those days, fur prices were usually pretty consistent. You'd see, it was usually enough to keep guys, doing it year round. But we found the population, again, I just remembering as a kid, but the population works on a cycle, right? It works on a cycle with their prey and rabbits and that kind of stuff. Same goes with mice, right? And all the little rodents and stuff. Where are you guys at right now? Is there a lot of see a lot of jackrabbits out there, or are they up or down?
Oh yeah, I think we're seeing a lot of rabbits. So there's definitely a lot of rabbit out, and there's the bird population is flourishing. So there's lots of prey for them out there this year for sure.
Right. So perfect world. If you're a coyote trying to earn a living, you have less guys trying to put a 20 BR in the back of your bean, and you've got birds and you've got mice and you've got no 100%. Trappers. Like, holy cow.
Yeah.
Well, I guess there's a flip to that, which would be a whole nother podcast. Is it's not just the ranchers and the cattle, it's the deer population too, right? I mean, there's
absolutely
that many coyotes, depending on the winter. Deer have enough of a challenge, the whitetail especially. They got enough of a challenge out there with the snowpacks and the hard winter kills and everything else. So awesome. Well, one of the fun things we like to do on our live streams is get into some storytelling. And with the amount of hunts that you've done, we'd like to hear some of your tales. What are some of your funner mornings? Some of the things that have happened, crazy stuff with coyotes. You name it. I'm sure you got a whole box full.
Oh, I definitely got a few of my favorites for sure. The one was that we call it the big failure, that 21-day coyote where we called him 21 day and missed 10 because we didn't have the shotgun. That's always in the back of your mind, so you never make that mistake again. But it was fast and furious. They would come, you would try and start yelling at them at 75 yards, like, hey, stop. Whoa. They didn't matter. You couldn't unconvince them. I think they ran into my call and grabbed my decoy, I think 3 or 4 times that day. Like smash the decoy goes flying and just slamming it. Like it was just one of them days where you couldn't unconvince them. It was a pretty special, epic day that turned into I think we still put 11 in the truck that day, but it should have been way more. So that was a fun time and one that I'll never forget. Had one where how Jeff and I got our start was he was into the long range shooting competitions, had a 22-250 built custom, and he reached out and he knew my younger brother, and he's like, hey, I heard you do some coyote hunting and I really want to get into it. Will you take me out and show me how you do it? And I've only ever kind of done it this way. So we went out, shared secrets and shared tips and started hunting together for days and days and days, a year and years over. But it was like that first year, we do drops. So it's always nice. The land isn't always conducive where you can hide a vehicle. So we'll each grab a radio and drop one guy. That guy will keep driving. The guy steps out of the truck with his gear and his rifle and the shotgun. And the other guy just keeps on going, goes a couple miles away, parks, just kind of waits, gets his gear ready up, changes batteries if need be, and waits for the radio from the other guy. And then we switch off and do it again. Especially on those cold days, it's good where you can warm up. You're not out on every stand. And so he drops me off and I start calling and a pair comes in and I shoot the pair like within 2 minutes. Keep calling. And that third one comes in. I shoot him, and I'm like, oh, triples don't happen every day. That's great, but I'm only 7 minutes in. Call 13-minute mark. 2 more come in, and I shoot them, and we got a five coyote stand done in 13 minutes. And I look, and I'm like, I'm out of ammo. I didn't bring my other clip, and I'm like, oh, I just, so I'm like, yeah. So I radio him up. I'm like, hey, come get me. He's like, what? It's only been 13 minutes. I'm like, yeah, I got 5 down. And he made some comment like, yeah, you got 5 down, and I got a super large Johnson. And I'm like, well, you better come over here because I don't know what to tell you. So he walks up. He's like, it's like the living dead, but with coyotes, there's just bodies. And the furthest one was like 75 yards, and most of them were between 40 and 75 yards. And he thought that was
right on.
A 5 coyote stand. So that was a good day. I think that was it was on New Year's Eve one day. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Just a dog pile. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then we had a day in October where it didn't matter what you're going to, just every stand, just coyote just came, and we just laid them down and had I think a 12 or a 13 coyote day. It was just a pretty fun, epic time. There's just always good ones like that, your doubles, your triples. Some of them are, I've had 3 come in at once, and then you kind of get lucky where you shoot the first one, get the second one, and then put a lucky shot on the third, and they're going. Had triples where they're 5 minutes apart, where they fall on the one where they fell on top of each other. It's just so hard to pick a favorite, because the thing I love the most about predator hunting is it doesn't matter. I called this, it's my favorite spot. I call it the corrals. I called it 10 times in one season. So different days, but 10 different days. And the first 9 days produced at least 1 coyote, a lot of times 2 coyotes. It was just the very last time that I got skunked, but it was 9 for 10, and it doesn't matter. It's like that, I'm sitting in the same spot, putting the call in the same spot, calling the same direction. It was different 9 times. Like coyotes come from a different, it's different every single time, and that's what makes it exciting. No one stand, even if it's called in the same place, is ever like another. It keeps you sharp. You always have to be looking. You always have to be conscious. It never goes as you think it's going to go. Wherever you think the least possible place a coyote is going to come, that's probably where it's going to come. That's what makes it so exciting and so addictive. Is it's just it's fun every single stand.
Exactly. It's not, it's definitely not predictable. So I have a couple questions about this, because I've seen some pretty crazy things in my day too, and watching other people hunt and stuff. And what's the closest that you've had a coyote get to you before you knew he was there?
I've had him bump my feet running by me. So my feet are stretched out. He ran, and I was just sitting beside a round bale. My feet were out, and as he was going for the call, kind of behind me on my 5 o'clock, he bumped my feet as he was going for the call between me and the call. So that was, and I've had fox do the same. I've had fox jump over my legs going to the call, not knowing that I'm there. But I've had a coyote bump my boots on the way to the call. So
that's awesome.
They're pretty close. I've shot lots between me and the call set out the call at 30 yards. I've killed lots.
Yeah.
And you got to just be careful that you're not going to shoot your call. I've been close a few times
with a shotgun. Yeah. I guess so. You got to watch you don't whack it. What's your longest shot on a coyote?
My longest shot with the 20 BR, I think, is 550. So I ranged him at 550, did a dial up, and I've shot a number in that right around that 450 to 500, but 550 was my longest. I watched Jeff shoot one at 650, which was pretty good.
With the 20?
With the 20, yeah. And everyone's like, well, you don't got the wind budget with the 20 cows like you do a 6mm. And I'm like, very true, but I don't call coyotes in the wind. Like, it doesn't work. So it's a pretty calm day. And sure, you got to still hold for wind even on a calm day, but it's really... it's not challenging. It's not like shooting a 6 mil bullet in 20 mile an hour wind. We're calling in that 5 to 10 mile an hour wind at most, and or less. And yeah, like it's a super flat shooting bullet. It doesn't have a giant wind budget, but you're not calling in the wind anyway.
Well, exactly. And I always tease people a little bit, right? If you learned how to shoot in Saskatchewan, you learned how to shoot with the wind, no matter what. And the calmest day in Saskatchewan, the wind is 5K or more, or 5 miles an hour or more. Like it's just, there's always, depending where you are, there's going to be wind. There's no downdrafts or updrafts. There's always a wind.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know. And lots of very accomplished shooters have been killing coyotes in the wind for a very long time, long before turrets and reticles with windplex and whatnot in them.
Yeah.
But that's cool. Well, it sounds like that. Yeah, without the wind budget, the other side of that is that bullet's flying so fast. There's a science behind shooting a small bullet fast, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah, especially we got, so it's running pretty flat shooting it at that speed.
Yeah, for sure. What was I going to ask? We got a couple questions, I think. Blake, you want to throw those up there for him?
Sure. Yeah, it looks like he asked, have you ever come across any coy dogs? I had to look what that is, but I guess it's a mix of a dog and a coyote.
Yeah.
I've never, if I did, I didn't shoot it because maybe it looked off, but I've never come across any coy dogs or anything like that. Like we got big coyotes where I'm at. Like I've shot a few in the 60-pound plus that are just giant dogs, but to shoot a 50-pound coyote is very common in Saskatchewan, especially in the middle of first season. But no, I've never shot a coy dog, but I have come across where I've called in lots of domestic dogs, and they've come into a call, and you gotta be pretty cautious. We had this one, and I'm like, oh, that's a really pale white coyote. But something looks off, and it's running straight towards me. I'm like, just doesn't look right. It turns sideways, and then pink spray painted Zach. And I'm like, and he turns around, dog, spray paint on the other side. Like, obviously someone had shot his dog, or he was worried about someone calling and shooting his dog, that he spray painted this dog in season, in could be deer season, coyote season, like it's all run across the same, but comes in and it had his name spray painted and pink spray paint on his white fur on the side.
That's hilarious.
That's hilarious. Oh, that's funny. What about oh, sorry. Go ahead.
There was one other question from Clay there. He was talking, and just in reference to you were saying how coyotes have an open season. Is there any pushback or advice or guidance maybe you could give on just like pups in a certain time of year? Like, is there any approach to that, or like what are your thoughts on that?
Well, a lot of times I haven't shot any pups when they're just tiny in the summer seasons. There's definitely a lot of pushback, and there's on a weekly basis I'll probably get, if I figure I'm not posting enough, if I don't get death threats on the weekly basis in Predator World Hunting, and all these aunties just telling me their opinion, which sure, hey, everyone's got an opinion. But yeah, like shotgun and pups in October and November it's pretty super. It's pretty super easy. Like they're coming to the point where they're starting to learn the game, and they're starting to play. And but our pups are still, by the time November rolls around, our pups are still the size of full grown US coyotes. They're 35 pounds still.
Yeah, I watched a YouTube show a couple months back, and there was an American fellow who's a pretty big predator hunter, and his dream hunt was to come to Alberta and hunt coyotes. And he came up, and I think it was Alberta or Saskatchewan. I'm pretty sure it was Alberta. And that was the first thing he said was like, "Oh my God, these things are massive."
Yeah.
And also, like you touched on it earlier, the fur quality is amazing, right? Like the nice white bellies and super long mane and just different color variations. Like they're a pretty cool animal. It's not all about killing them, but you got to admire a coyote. Think
Oh,
about the way a coyote earns a living, right? Just think about that.
yeah, 100%. It was probably Alberta and Saskatchewan. Not
You
even
can't.
like obviously
Yeah.
Canadian non-residents can't hunt it, but Saskatchewan non-residents can't hunt coyotes either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's those regulations. I used to come out to Saskatchewan every year after I moved. I've been in BC now for many, many years, but I used to come out whitetail hunting every year,
Yep.
and we could buy a coyote tag and a couple coyote tags back in those days along with our deer tag. And now it's, Canadian resident draw, and we're not allowed to do that. But have you called in? What's your any like unexpected other predators coming in? I mean, in southern Saskatchewan, you're not going to see. I guess you'll see some cats. But
Well,
you guys ever?
in my years, I've seen 2 cats. So one, and I've still yet to shoot a bobcat, but the one I was calling in a coyote, shot the coyote, and the bobcat was just sitting there, and it jumped away out of my peripheral vision after I shot the coyote, and I didn't get a chance at it. And the other one we saw was I was just I saw a coyote sneaking. I just did a hand call when we were deer hunting and called them up and shot them with the deer rifle. And then again saw a cat in the same rugged coulee that we were deer hunting, and didn't get a chance at it. But I've called in a cougar, saw a cougar walk in front of me, so that was pretty eerie and unnerving. Like just crossed in front of me at 200 yards, giving me the evil eye. And I was like, well,
was that down Regina way? So in the south?
Yeah, down Regina ways. Yeah. And southwest Saskatchewan.
Yep. Yeah. No, I've got family down towards like Swift Current and down in
it was southwest
Cypress.
Yeah.
Yeah. They get some cougars down in that area now too. Yeah. So Blake, I think Clay's got another good question here. Just popped up. You want to read that one out?
Sure. Yeah, he was just wondering any times where the coyote you thought was dead was still kicking when you came up to it or were moving it or anything like that?
Oh, absolutely. So I had one where it thought it was dead, and you always bring your rifle. I bring the shotgun with too, and didn't have it, and it grabbed my boot and wouldn't let go of my boot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I just stepped on it, put the other boot on its neck till it quit. You always like I always like to have something to dispatch them, if there's a big rock or something. But it's always best just to make that quick, ethical kill the first time. But everyone knows it doesn't always work out. Then it's not 100% perfect. Sometimes you got to finish them with the 12 bore.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, I mean, this is awesome stuff. We've already killed an hour and 10 minutes. Is that clock right, Blake? Or are we longer than that? It's about an hour. 10.
Hour 12 is what I've got. Yep.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, a couple more questions for you, and then we're going to let you go here and move on with your life. You gave us a good hour of content here. It's been awesome. For a couple questions for new coyote hunters or people just getting onto the scene, what, as far as resources go, I mean, it's pretty obvious the one that you guys have your platform on is probably the best one, but what would you suggest for resources for someone wanting to learn coyote hunting? Like where would you go if you picked up a gun today, new hunter?
If you picked up a gun today, there's so many good resources on the internet. Like the Fox Pro guys that put out some really good videos, some good resources. But like, get yourself a call, get yourself a gun. Everyone always asks what coyote chair I use and what predator chair I use. So it's called a cot chair from Cabela's, and it's just a chair that goes on a cot, but I just sit on it in the ground because it's nice and low. I like shooting off a bipod. If I can stand, I'll shoot off a tripod, and I really like the Fat Boys tripod. They make a a really good tripod for coyote for predator hunting with a really good predator head and lots of good stuff. It's very rigid, works in the winter. So like the Fat Boys tripod, if you got lots of trees and you can stand up and get a good vantage point. Even if you're sitting down, having that tripod there, if you've got a nice narrow window where you don't got to swing a whole bunch, the good benefit of a bipod is if that coyote is coming from your 9 o'clock or your 3 o'clock, you can lift it up and set it down and get on point real quick. Where the tripod might, if having 3 legs, it might be a little bit of a point.
Mm-hmm.
So if I got to sit down, I like to sit low on the ground and have that gun up in the ready position. So I use the Cabela's cot chair. They make the Predator chairs, but we found that they always collapsing and undoing. The screws get bent, screws get worn out, the metal breaks. So we always just use this $40 cot chair from Cabela's, and it works really good. You get yourself a Harris long bipod or an MDT triple pull sky pod off the front of your gun, and it gives you that ability to have a little bit of cant movement and camber as well as lift in place. So you want to give yourself the best opportunity, because think about any direction a coyote could possibly come and what you're going to do if coyote comes from that direction. How are you going to move? Where are you going to place your stuff? If there's lots of snow, I like to kick out snow all the way around the path, not just the little hole in. I stomp down a whole little path so I'm able to move my bipod through and lay it down just in case, because you're sitting out there like freezing yourself at a cold temperature. You want to capitalize on every opportunity, and you want it to be worthwhile. You want to be successful. So take those extra things that just allow you to do that, and be patient. Move as little as possible. Try and stay as at least that 30 minutes. Be patient, and don't be afraid to change it up.
So when you guys are on a stand and you're filming content for Predator Hunting World, you got 2 guys, or you guys run 3 or 2
well,
guys?
usually 2 guys. So we'll do, one guy will do the shooting, and then the other guy will do the filming, or if we're running the big camera, if we're running just the small camera. So sometimes we'll run 2 Tacticams, one pointed at me, one pointed at Jeff, and then we got our film through scope. We might both be on stand. One guy might primarily have the shotgun. One guy will have a rifle ready. So Jeff also runs a Tacticam on the end of his shotgun as well. So he runs 3 Tacticams. So he's usually got the shotgun ready, and then we both hit the remote, and I'll try and get an angle from my Tacticam on it if he's going to shoot it with the shotgun, and you can just stitch up lots. But if we're running the big camera, we'd run 1 shooter, one guy on the camera, and then it doesn't work on every stand because you can't do drops. You got to hide the truck at that point and make that happen. But it's nice where there's a clearing or where we can, a low spot where we can park the truck and then walk over the hill where the truck is in the low spot. It's always nice when we can do that and both sit. Therefore, when you got those doubles or triples, we just count down 3, 2, 1, bang, couple bodies fall. We normally get the third one. So having 2 on stand is definitely efficient. And that's how we learn to communicate and count down. And we would do a point, or we always reference between us and the call is the 12 o'clock. And then we would say, hey, 2 o'clock coming out, you know which direction to turn your eyes, or something like that. So it helped with our competition shooting, being that familiar and that easy with each other. We had that down, and we've been very successful in shooting especially the NRL Hunter Series in the US. We won the finale as a team last year, so it was pretty good, and all that coyote stuff was a big part of that, and paid off.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a team sport, right? So
well,
it's like, I mean, you got to look at it that way.
You could shoot as individual in the open light, or shoot as a team. And we've decided to shoot it as a team last year and the year before, and have done fairly well in the whole series.
Yeah, that's awesome. This is off topic, but we're we're going to eventually start doing some, a lot more coverage of different things like the NRL. We want to get into some guns and gun sessions and shooting sessions and stuff like that. So I'll probably be reaching back out to you guys and get you both on for a show.
Yeah.
So what are you guys doing? Any coyote competitions this year? Is there anything happening this winter, or is it kind of?
I don't think there's anything on the schedule for coyote comps this year. There's there's nothing on the books. There's one this weekend in Alberta, but we just got back from SHOT Show in Vegas like this weekend, and it just didn't work out for the timing. So we had thought if it was going to work out, we'd go to the one in Alberta, but it just didn't pan out. So there's no coyote comps on it. Jeff and I got announced to Team Canada, so we're going to shoot the Precision Rifle Series on Team Canada this year. So our big focus this year is just, hey, get out and call coyotes when we can, but we're going to start shooting competitions in March and April all over the US, and then Worlds was supposed to be in South Africa, but they moved it to Grand Junction, Colorado in September. So we're just excited to prep and get ready to represent Canada for the precision rifle.
Nice. So what are your rifle setups for that series?
So for the NRL Hunter series, we primarily shoot 25 Creedmoor. So really fast twist, 25 Creedmoor. We used to shoot six Creedmoor, but we dropped it down to 25 with the onset of some new really good high BC bullets in the 25 cal. You got to make a power factor. So like in the NRL Hunter series, you got to make a 380,000 power factor, which is just the speed of your bullet times the grain of your bullet has to equal 380,000 or better. So a 6 mil will never make power factor. You could shoot a 6 mil, but you shoot it in what they call the skills division. It's not for prizes or points. So we went and built some 25 Creedmoors. We both shoot some 25 Creedmoor in PRS and the RTC team challenge as well. Which is great. Jeff shoots a 6 Creedmoor, 6 GT, 6 BR. I primarily shoot a 6 BRA in competition. So lots of different calibers in those fast 6 twists for the PRS, and then 25 Creed for the remainder.
So are you running a Tika custom for that too?
So yeah, I still got most of my platforms are built off Tika actions. Jeff's a Bighorn fan, so most of his actions are built off Bighorn. I'm thinking about changing this year just because any of the custom actions are all built off the Remington 700 footprint, and it's just easier to find components, chassis, triggers, everything just works off that R700 footprint. But hey, I'm a big fan of the Tika actions. I have 5 of them, and let me tell you, I don't miss because I run a Tika action. That's for sure.
Well, you're talking to the right guy. I've built 7 Tika custom rifles with Tika actions over the years, and there's a lot of good things. This is a rabbit hole, Blake. We don't, we'll be short. He kind of looks at me when I start going down gun rabbit holes, but the magazine design, the stack magazine, they all feed nice. Tika actions are smooth. The tolerances are tight. Not a lot of work for the gunsmith to true that action up. And then there is more components coming out. As you know, obviously like in Australia and Europe, a lot of guys are building stuff around Tikas. So glad to hear that.
For a factory action, I don't think you can beat it.
Yeah, exactly. And I always, whenever I get a new hunter coming to me and saying, what would you recommend I buy for a starter rifle? And I just, out of my own prejudice towards Tikas, I always say, just look, go on CGN and look for a used Tika T3 and, something that you can handle as recoil. And I've bought and sold a lot of rifles over the years, and I don't think I've ever had a Tika that shot really bad. Like at the end of the day, you can find something that works in it. But again, I don't work for Tika, by the way, but happily take any free guns they're sending my way. But so. Well, man, this has been awesome. We're almost at that 90-minute mark. It's just been great. We've got a lot of great content. Oh, Clay's got one more. What about archery for coyotes? You know anybody that does that?
We've tried it, and got a few buddies that we've gone out and stuck some arrows through in September just to see what it's like. And yeah, it's it's challenging. It's definitely challenging to they got their eyesight so good, and if you're calling, you gotta be on the ball to do it. But it's pretty neat seeing an arrow slide through a coyote. Like it's
no doubt.
It's pretty neat. So it's not something we actively do, but we wanted to give it a try and do it. I noticed Keely asked about diseases that coyotes are known to carry.
Yeah, mange and stuff.
Yeah. So like mange is a big thing. We shoot lots of kites that have mange, and I just kind of leave them there. With a lot of guys pick them up and transport and burn them, but I just kind of leave them there and let nature take care of them. Whether they have a rat tail, I don't want. I hunt with a black lab too, and I don't want anything like that. Fox are really bad for fleas. It seems like every time I shoot a fox, I'll have fleas in my beard for 2 days. And they're not really dangerous to anybody, but I got to keep a flea collar on my dog around coyote season, and I medicate her up and everything, because it's not so much the coyotes, but fox are really bad for fleas, and they'll be in my beard and everything for 2 days straight when you're gathering up a fox. Other than that, there's the big thing now is shoulder mites. Coyotes have shoulder mites, and they'll eat the hair off the top of their shoulders. They'll have a bald patch, and it won't look right. It'll be like greasy, and they'll be smelly. So that was only on the last 4 or 5 years. Shoulder mites has really come in Saskatchewan, and same thing with the mange. You kind of just leave them sit there, let the magpies and crows and ravens have at them, and Mother Nature will have that cleaned up in no time. But so those are the kind of the big ones that got to look for. Obviously, you don't want to get bit by them. Rabies shots are expensive. I think they're $600 for a rabies shot and that. But just those are kind of the big ones.
So, Kris, is there a significant other, wife, girlfriend?
Oh yeah, I'm married and got a wife, and we've been together for almost 30 years. So she's definitely used to this and accustomed to it. I had her out in the garage when I was doing my own skinning, and she was like, "Well, you're gone all day coyote hunting, and then you come and then you're in the garage skinning and doing that." So I'm like, "Well, why don't you help me out in the garage?" And so then I'm pulling, and she's helping me pull and hide. And there's a point where sometimes they squeeze the bladder, and it squeezed the bladder.
Oh, yeah.
It pissed all over. She's like, "I'm done. I'm never coming out and helping you again. And like, why don't you take these stinking coyotes out of our garage and get someone to do it?" So since then, I've had a custom skinner do all my coyotes, and I just hunt the day, put them in the rack, haul them over the skinners, dump them off. I always put ear tags in it. I have different colored snap ties, and so he knows that mine is a blue snap tie, and put a blue earring in it, and be like, "Here's the coyotes, they're dropped off, and have a nice day. Call me when they're ready, and I'll pay you and pick them up." So she's
right on.
She's definitely got she's a patient and understanding woman to let me hunt all winter long for coyotes and then be gone all summer long shooting competitions and chasing that dream.
Well, she must be something special, or you must be something special if she's sticking around after you shoot foxes and bring all those fleas in the house. I can tell you that. Yeah, know, I'd be kicked out of the house in about 2 minutes. So, that's awesome. All right, buddy. Well, so where can we find you guys? What's what channels do you want us to try and get your subscribers to?
Sure, yeah. We got Predator World Hunting on Instagram, our YouTube Predator World Hunting. It's kind of slowed. We've got some content, but it's been tough to get out there and justify everything with fuel being the way it is, and the camera equipment having that. Sometimes there's a second or third guy that might do the drops for us, and having him along. Plus, the camera equipment doesn't work so great. Last year was horrible. We got cold weather and 8 feet of snow right off the bat, so it was tough. So we're just trying to get a little bit of filming done, get caught up on some footage that was there. But Predator World Hunting on Instagram, YouTube, and our competition for anybody that's interested is 3 ZERO number 6 precision. 306 precision is our kind of our
area
competition.
code. Nice.
Yeah.
That's a great brand.
Yeah.
Awesome. So anything exciting? Sorry, I have to back up. Was SHOT Show good? I bet it was.
Yeah, SHOT Show was pretty awesome. So like
Sure.
we're sponsored shooters from Apex. So we come down and Apex flies us down. We get to mingle and visit and work the booth. And it was crazy busy this year. It was great weather and super busy. Like we went last year as well, but this year was way more people, way busier. And I think it might've been their busiest and biggest yet. Got to see some very cool things and talk with a lot of great people, guys we shoot with, guys we hunt with, and guys that know our channel and know our brand, and which is always good. And guys like, oh, I'll follow you. I'm like, oh, I'm already following you. I'm like, oh, perfect, thanks. You know, so it was awesome. It was super fun, and would love going down there and being in the industry because it's just full of great people doing what they love and what they're passionate about.
Man, I agree. That's why we're in this space. You know, just the community needs more people like you out there to promote it and get along. I bet you came home from SHOT Show with a trunk full of new goodies too.
No, at SHOT Show you can't buy anything. It's illegal to buy anything. You can't buy or sell. So it's only to showcase. There's nothing for sale. But I come with a list of goodies that I'm going to be ordering for sure.
Little pre-ordering going on there. Yeah, awesome. Right on, man. Well, we're gonna put a pin in this one. This has been a great episode, and we appreciate you coming on tonight. And thank you very much.
Yeah, you bet. I'm glad to be here, and thanks for having me.